Hi, I'm Peggy,
I'm Laura,
and we are Urban
Urban
Booze.
Booze.
Welcome, everybody. We're trying to, we are social distancing ourselves a little bit more than six feet. What are we,
What
what?
are we about? 12 miles?
12 miles? Yeah,
16 miles? Something like that. Not too far.
not too far. But this is our third episode celebrating Women's History Month.
Mm-hmm.
And we are celebrating this to talk about the women behind Uncle Nearest.
Get my bottle. Uncle Nearest. I like this one better.
All right. Spoiler alert.
This
I
one's
like
good.
this one. I like this one.
This one's good too, but I like this one's my one. So much so that I'm going to have one now while we're talking.
Yeah, so 1856, that premium whiskey, smooth, round, robust. I can even taste a little bit of the oak, and I am not a whiskey drinker. So don't come at me if I'm describing it wrong. I think just based on our reading, this was probably a single barrel. 1856
Yes.
and 1884 is a blend.
A blend.
A blend made by Uncle Nearest Green's descendants. How friggin' awesome is that? Oh, show off. Look at her. She got her
hefty glass there.
Ice ball. But that's all right.
I'm making Death Star ice ball.
I'm making a cake tonight. I'm making a honey whiskey cake, and I will be using my Uncle Nearest 1856. So this month, if you have been following us, our first episode, we were celebrating Celeste Beatty, who is the craft beer blender for Harlem Brewery, and she makes, what are the different beers, Laura?
Oh boy, you're just
I know there's an IPA.
And I'm gonna remember. There's an IPA. There's
the Renaissance.
The Renaissance, the Harlem Renaissance, and then there's the blue can, the green can, and the yellow pretty label. And I can't think of the.
Follow that. We did that the first week. The second week we did. What did we do the second week? Oh my God.
We talked with the women of Cruology Vines.
Yes. Oh God, don't kill us, y'all.
And we had it was a great conversation too, very enlightening. So if you haven't seen it, go take a look.
Yes,
and look at us.
No, I'm sorry, Laura. They are two women who are bloggers. They put up some interesting stuff every day about different wines out there. They're really there to elevate and to take the stigma away from wine. They're really making it approachable, and they provide some really interesting information in regards to wine. It kind of dispels that snobby myth. So check that out. That was our second week. And so this third week, we are all about Uncle Nearest. And I know you're wondering, Uncle Nearest is a man. Yes. But they were women, as we mentioned, that were responsible for bringing this man who is the godfather of whiskey to fruition and into our glasses everywhere.
He's the godfather of American whiskey.
Whiskey.
And these two women that we're discussing tonight brought his whiskey and his story to us. We didn't know. Who knew?
Right.
So you want me to go into Uncle Nearest's story?
What I want to do first is to define whiskey. What is whiskey versus bourbon?
Okay. What is whiskey? Whiskey is a type of distilled beverage made from fermented grain mash. I took notes, y'all. I got notes over here. Yes. Various grains. They could be malted, barley, corn, rye, wheat. Okay. Whiskey is typically aged in wooden casks, generally made of a charred white oak. So you burn the interior of the oak. You pour this distilled
the results of it
in there, and then you let it sit and let it ferment. And that's how you make whiskey.
And
what is bourbon?
Yeah.
Bourbon's an American whiskey. It's barrel aged, it's a distilled spirit, but it's made primarily from corn. And bourbon has to be 51% corn. That's just the law. That's literally a law on it. So, we'll get more into what bourbon is and the different types of bourbon. This is the whiskey
show. This is the whiskey show.
This is the whiskey show. This is a whiskey show, not the whiskey show, but this is our first one. And that's really the difference. Bourbon has to have 51% corn, and whiskey doesn't have that
Has
hard
corn at
rule
all,
on it.
right?
It can have corn. You can
But not
have
as
corn in
much.
whiskey.
But not
It
as much.
bourbon has to be 51%. And you can't call a fermented mash bourbon unless it
No,
has
so
the
that's what I was saying.
51%.
So
So
there's
the
no,
whiskey,
yeah,
you can have corn in whiskey.
interesting.
You can have it,
But whiskey
but
has
it can't be called
51% grain, grain mash.
whiskey. They don't have that rule. Whiskey's from Scotland and Ireland, and they don't have that rule on it. And bourbon is American, and they have that rule on it. So
But
you can
Laura, you
have
got to distinguish with whiskey. Is grain.
whiskey
It's
is
made from,
grain,
right.
right?
And bourbon is corn. Simple.
Okay.
Simple.
But whiskey can have corn in it,
Right. But not as much.
not as much, not
Gotcha.
generally.
Right. And what I also wanted to kind of bring up is really what what Nearest Green did was he kind of really made the whole process, the process that he developed from Africa and brought it here. It's the special way that he distills the water, which no one had done. And then certainly as we go into our talk, we'll talk into about why and how he did it, and certainly how it revolutionized American whiskey as we well know it.
Right. Right. We want to talk about Uncle Nearest a little bit now?
Absolutely. Let's go into
Okay.
Uncle Nearest. Let's talk to Nearest Green.
Nearest Green. Nearest Green was a slave born in from, I'm not sure that he was born in Maryland, the Maryland, Virginia area, but he was from the Maryland, Virginia area. He was sold downriver to the south, to Tennessee. In West Africa, they had a way of fermenting water, filtering water, and they
Yeah,
used
filtering, yeah.
charcoal, the charcoal wood that they filtered everything through, so you had a nice clear water. So he brought that method with him when he went to Tennessee. He ended up a corporation. It wasn't a family that bought him, it was a corporation that owned him, and he was rented out to a preacher who,
Mm-hmm.
for reasons, I'm not sure what his reasons were, he didn't own slaves. Either he couldn't afford to own slaves, or
Oh, his way to
maybe
keep his hands clean.
keep his hands clean. Exactly. So he just rented out the work. So he rented him out. He might, who, I'm not really sure where the original recipe for, the combo of bourbon and rye, I'm not bourbon, the combination of rye and barley or whatever. We don't know exactly where that came from. We do know that Nearest made a nice one. He made a really nice one. And who the other person working at that distillery was a young Jack Daniels. When I say young, I mean he was a kid, he was an orphan, and therefore cheap labor. And he worked also at the distillery. Civil War happens, the preacher is gone, but Nearest and Jack Daniels survived the Civil War. And now he's not a slave anymore. And he doesn't have to be a sharecropper. He's got knowledge and he's got ability. And
right.
so
And then I also read that Jack Daniels, he had a knack for selling. He had a way with words. So his ability to sell the product made by Nearest Green is what made them popular. And they would say that whenever, I guess they would smell something in a distillery, the town, they knew that, that this whiskey was being made, which was really interesting. So obviously Jack Daniels had a gift of gab, as in most salespeople.
He was a good salesman. That's good.
Excellent salesperson.
Right. Because his Jack Daniels, became Jack Daniels, became a brand. And this is just an orphan kid who, had a dream and the gift of gab, like you said, the gift of gab.
Yeah.
So they go into business, they work, and Jack Daniels, the brand of whiskey, is born. And Nearest sons work at this factory, Nearest descendants work at this factory, this distillery. And so, a couple of 100 years pass, or 100 years plus pass. And now we have Fawn Weaver, who's on vacation, reading an article, and she sees that the Jack Daniels distillery is going to be doing tours. And of course, they give a little lip service. Oh, we're going to discuss this. One of the founders, his name is Nearest, and, we're going to have information on that in the tours. So when she goes to Tennessee, she goes and takes the tour. She takes the tour 3 times. There's not much information on Nearest Green. what's she going to do? So she
Right.
goes to them and she says, hey, where's the information that, I read this article. You were going to have this information. What's going on? Oh, we couldn't find it, but you're welcome to find it. So she says, all right, I'll find it. Now,
Mhm.
his descendants still work there. They couldn't ask the descendants for
Which
any
is,
information.
and that's what I find amazing. One of the things that has not been answered is who made the original recipe.
Right. Right.
Okay, and if nearest, clearly it's nearest recipe, nearest Green's recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Who has it? That's just a rhetorical question. We don't know. If anyone knows after they hear this particular episode, let me know. Because then it's
You know who we can ask?
what?
We'll put this on our wish list. We can ask Fawn Weaver. We're
Oh yeah,
gonna
that would be
put it
nice.
out there, put it to the
Right.
universe. We would love to really talk with her and find out what she found, and Victoria Butler, nearest granddaughter, who
Great
makes the
granddaughter. Right.
great granddaughter, yes, great granddaughter, who makes the blend.
Right. Yeah, it would be
So,
interesting to find out because clearly there was a recipe because this is here. Something must have been written down because there's an
mm-hmm.
1820 version that speaks to his recipe. That was the year Nearest was born. For what
Right.
the year that they
So
expect.
they attribute his birth to,
Right.
right? And then the 1856 was the last year that he
Yeah,
physically
probably
went
the
to the
last,
distillery.
right, before he
And
retired.
right.
Because I'm thinking he probably retired and said, okay, Jack, carry on. You know how I made it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when that was born. Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
I because it seems like he did seem to have a lot of respect for this man.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, and I'm impressed that it kept through the lineage. I'm sure there's some other backstory, but the fact that Nearest Green's descendants are still involved, are still working in that, is interesting. But I guess it would be good for everyone to know also is that the proceeds from Uncle Nearest Brandy actually goes to a fund for his descendants, especially those who are not going to follow in the footsteps of being in the distillery, but want to do other things, and it pays toward their college education, which I think is amazing. What a unique way to be able to help this man's descendants, who
right.
has not gotten, the kudos and acknowledgments that he should have had. But
and financial benefit of it because Jack
absolutely,
Daniels makes $3 billion
$3 billion a year,
billion with a B, which again, Austin Powers numbers to me.
right?
$3 billion really
So,
a year. So it's like, thank you
yeah.
for the help going to college. However, it seems like even if you're not going to do a 50-50 split, it just seems
No, should
like
be 25% something. But
something.
anyway, I'm sure this is why they allowed this to happen. Could be
Probably.
guilt,
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
they're not remotely threatened by, what it could be, except
Mhm.
this is award-winning stuff. So it just
Award
seems
winning. They have double gold, world's best 2019 world best in whiskey magazine, 2018 double gold in China wine spirits. Ooh, China. 2019 best American whiskey, at the Bourbon Festival. Okay,
mhm,
so this is some good stuff.
right.
This is
It's
some good
tasty.
stuff. And
And
it's
I'm curious to
tasty.
know how it does in the UK. In
Yeah.
the actual birthplace of whiskey,
Oh my
how well.
goodness. Victoria Butler's name is on the back of this. Created by,
Mhm.
oh, look, I'm just noticing it.
See, this is the good stuff. This
Yeah.
one.
Yes. Okay.
I like the way it tastes better than the. I mean, the other one
I
tastes good too, but
I know, but
I
the other
really
one,
enjoy this.
yeah, I think for me, I'm not a drinker. This is actually that was my first time trying it. The
Mm-hmm.
1884 seems like it kind of said kapow in my mouth. Like I was like, ooh, it kind of jolted me. Where this was a more smoother introduction to my palate. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized that 1856 is 100 proof versus 93 proof, but that was just my reaction to it. So we certainly look forward to meeting Miss Fawn Weaver and Miss Victoria Butler.
Right.
I think I think it's a fascinating story. It's a story that we all need to know. And if anyone takes a chance, Google Uncle Nearest story because it was narrated by the one and only Jeffrey Wright.
Love Jeffrey
done
Wright.
done so eloquently. It's only 10 minutes. It needs to be a movie. I'm just putting it out there.
I would
Ava,
love to
Ava
see that as a
DuVernay, Ava
movie.
DuVernay, Oprah
And
Winfrey.
Netflix
Okay,
hook some people up, hook a sister up. I would
hook.
love to see that.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. So yeah, guys. I mean, I'm not a big drinker. I'm not going to have
Mhm.
it over ice, but I will for sure cook with it. And there's a couple of really great recipes back here. If you get this 1856, that I am definitely going to try. One has honey in it. See, I always need to zhuzh something up, and Tennessee Gold is lemon juice and honey syrup with Uncle Nearest, and that sounds yummy to me. That's speaking to me.
See,
And
and I'm more of a straight out the bottle kind of girl. I only pulled out the ice cube to show Peggy my ice cube. I would just
I,
drink this in a glass. That's
yeah.
just how it tastes good.
Mhm.
This is all I'll have tonight, which is a good. It's a hefty amount, but it's all
Mhm.
I'll have tonight. I'll go to sleep at a
So
reasonable
when you
time.
say hefty, like when somebody has a drink of whiskey, what is the normal amount?
Hmm.
Is it a quarter cup? Is it a shot glass full? Like
I think it's more like a shot glass full, but the
it's
glasses are
like two
usually
ounces.
prettier. Yeah, it's like
Mhm.
2 ounces, but the glasses, the nice cut crystal, and it looks nice, and the
Mhm.
amber, and or the lead glass, like nice, heavy, thick, and this is just a thin glass, and I'm pretty sure I poured a little bit more than 2 ounces, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I saw a really cute decanter for whiskey. Like, does it need to air, or that was just a pretty decanter for whiskey?
They have decanters. I know they have decanters. I don't know that it needs to air. I like the way this tastes out of the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it probably does taste if it's different if it was decantered for a bit. If it sat in a decanter and let the air get into it and was oxygenated.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I don't have decanters. I'm
Okay. Well,
I'm
no,
too
I
new for
saw one.
that.
It was cute. People know how to find me now. Now I get all these. You would like this, Peggy, and I'm like, oh, hey now. Well, the good thing about Uncle Nearest premium whiskey is that you can find it in a lot of different places, but the place that we like to support is Happy Cork in Brooklyn.
Happy
And
Cork on Utica Avenue. Or is it
it's
Ralph
not,
Avenue? Ralph Ave.
no, it's
Buffalo. Lord.
Buffalo. It's Buffalo. That is
Corner Buffalo and Atlantic.
it is a wonderful
Buffalo and
store
Atlantic.
owned by an African American. Well, I don't think she's African American. I think she's from London.
No, she's from St. Vincent.
She's from St. Vincent. Okay, sorry, Sunshine. But she has this wonderful establishment. There's lots of things that go on. There's
Mhm.
Wednesday's tastings, and I believe she actually had Victoria Butler there. I am so sorry that I missed that. It would have
She
been
had her
wonderful
there for Black
to talk
History
to her
Month.
for Black History
Yeah.
Month. So it would have been wonderful to have met her. But if you are seeing this and you're in the tri-state area, please check out Happy Cork. We can't support each other enough. I found
Right.
it in Long Island at Pike's Liquor. I really shouldn't
Hmm.
give them that much credit because they didn't try to help me when I walked in the store until they saw me strolling around, and they were probably wondering what was I doing. You know,
Mm.
you know.
They're not like that at Happy Cork. They're so nice, and
Oh
they're
no.
always so knowledgeable. If you say, "Well, I don't know what about I want to get this because," and then
Hmm.
you turn and say, "What would you cook with it?" They'll tell you. They'll give you
Yeah,
their opinions, but they know they're knowledgeable and they're really nice.
yeah. They
I've
really.
called them and said, "I'm on my way. Don't close the store. I'll be there. I'm getting on the train. I'm in Harlem," and they're like, "Look, it's 9 o'clock. You're on 125th Street. How long do you think it'll take you?" And I was like, "Well, Google says 40 minutes, so please." And I got to walk from the train station. Like, all right, just put my bottle on the side. They did that for me. I
Wow.
got the last bottle of the McBride Sisters Red that way. It was the last
Oh,
bottle. I said, please put it on the side. I'll be there. And they took it and they held it for me. And I got there just as they were closing up and, took my money and sent me home.
I know. And as we're dealing with this coronavirus period, they are actually open. Go in there, grab yourself something, get prepared for the weekend. There's all types of spirits and wines that are there. They support a lot of up and coming, Black businesses that are out there.
Right.
And
Black wines and spirits
yeah,
creators. They
wines and
support
spirits.
us.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. And so we are definitely, all about supporting Sunshine and her efforts at Happy Cork. We'll be there soon, Sunshine. Uh, so yeah, I think that really kind of rounds everything up. I think, we've already kind of put it out there in the atmosphere. We want to meet you, Fawn. We want to have you on our
Victoria.
And Victoria. Yes. And find out what's to come. Is there another new batch coming up? What's up with that recipe? Is there a recipe that's hidden in a safe somewhere? Inquiring minds wants to know. But we hope that you enjoyed our little talk and chat about this special whiskey. We hope that you continue to follow Urban Booze as we continue to explore what's going on in the world of wine, whiskey, and beer. And as we celebrate Women's History Month, we hope that you go out and support this incredible spirit that two women single-handedly brought this together.
Brought to us. Yes, they brought them to us, and we appreciate it. It was very good.
Yes, we
definitely appreciate it. And if you want to keep up with Urban Booze, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you know when we click it. So you'll know when we update. We try to update on Thursdays on YouTube, Wednesdays on Spotify for our podcast. We're on Insta, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we have a website, urbanbooze.com. So you can find us. We're out there.
And, stay tuned. We are about to do something really new with Urban Booze. I want, in order for you to know about what we're doing, you got to click on a notification. We are going to have an event. Hopefully we'll be all celebrating this. We're clear from coronavirus celebration, but we have an event that we hope that you support us with. We will have that information out shortly. So until next time, next week, where we are going to talk a little bit more about whiskey. We'll leave you thinking about what that next whiskey will be. This is Urban Booze signing off.
We're enjoying what's good, sip by sip. We'll see you next time. Bye.